And welcome to a brand new episode of Dylan Knows, episode 484, award winning free alcohol. All of that will be coming into play in today's episode. It is a little earlier than usual. It's 10:50 p.m. Main reason why is because my family is on the first scouting event camping trip of the year 2023. Since this is the final weekend of January, yes, we have survived the first month of 2023, just barely in some cases, but here we are. Getting ready to enter into the shortest month of the year, February. And got my brand new Buffy shirt on. Sarah Michelle Gellar, as you all know, is one of my crushes, I guess, celebrity crushes, and she's been all over the place this week because her new show has come out. We'll talk about that a little later. Since I was home alone this week, I did watch a couple movies I had not seen before, so we'll be covering the reviews of Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, and We're the Al Yankovic Story, both of which I just watched literally not 3 hours ago. All these awards, as I said, it's award seasons, and a ton of nominations came out this week. The big ones being the Academy Award nominations. We'll cover those. I believe the Writers Guild ones came out, as did a few other ones, which we will cover in the foreseeable future. Some casting news, some animals, some sex, because why not? Because sex sells. What else? We got the trailers, casting announcements, the return of In Dreams, the first In Dreams of 2023, which actually has a strange connection to Everything Everywhere All at Once, and more. So sit back, relax, enjoy. And that's it. So I've already covered that one already. So I figure we'll just jump right on in here with the Academy Award nominations. Now, hold on. For those who don't know, the day before or the day of the Academy Awards, I do a special award Oscar award picks show that I pick the who I believe is going to be the Academy Award winners for that year, and I watch the awards and I keep track of them. And the next week I reveal how well I actually did. I've been doing okay. The last few years have been a little off due to various reasons, but here we are. So this year, all I have to say is, and I'll be calling my Academy Award episode this, it is pretty much for all intents and purposes, a dead cert award show. Basically, you could pick everyone who is probably going to win the Academy Awards probably right now before the votes even come in due to how other people have won the awards, but there still could be surprises. There usually is, but a lot of them just like, yeah, they're going to win. They're going to win. They're going to win. They're going to win. It's a dead cert that they're going to. So we'll see how well I do when that rolls around to that. So first things first, let's get into that. Excuse me. I'm still recovering from a cold. So if I seem a little snurfly, that's me. All right. Where are the list of the nominees? Why not go to Oscars.org? All right. Here we go. It's in no particular order, I guess. So here we go. Actor in a leading role. The nominees are Austin Butler for Elvis, Colin Farrell for The Banshees of Inisherin, Brendan Fraser for The Whale, Paul Mescal for Aftersun, Bill Nighy for Living. Again, I'm not going to make my choices now. I will make them in, I believe it's mid-March is when the Oscars are. We'll find out for sure. Okay, I'm accepting your cookies. Please stop. Actor in a supporting role. Nominees are Brendan Gleeson, The Banshees of Inisherin, Brian Tyree Henry, Causeway, Judd Hirsch, The Fabelmans, Barry Keoghan for The Banshees of Inisherin, and Ke Huy Quan for Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Actress in a leading role, the nominees are Cate Blanchett for Tar, Ana de Armas for Blonde, Andrea Riseborough for To Leslie, Michelle Williams for The Fabelmans, and Michelle Yeoh for Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Actress in a supporting role. The nominees are Angela Bassett for Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Hong Chow for The Whale, Carrie Condon for The Banshees of Inisherin, Jamie Lee Curtis for Everything Everywhere All at Once, Stephanie Hsu for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Animated feature film, the nominees are Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, The Sea Beast, and Turning Red. In cinematography, the nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front, Bardo, False Chronicle of a Handful of Truths, Elvis, Empire of Light, and Tar. Costume design, the nominees are Babylon, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. Directing, nominees are The Banshees of Inisherin, Martin McDonagh, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert. The Fabelmans, Steven Spielberg, Tar, Todd Field, Triangle of Sadness, Ruben Östlund. Documentary feature film nominees are All That Breathes, All the Beauty and the Bloodshed, Fire of Love, A House Made of Splinters, and Navalny. Documentary short film nominees are The Elephant Whisperers, Haul Out, How Do You Measure a Year, The Martha Mitchell Effect, Stranger at the Gate. Film editing, the nominees are The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, which should win, Tar, Top Gun Maverick. International feature film, the nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front, Argentina 1985, Close, EO, and The Quiet Girl. Makeup and hairstyling, the nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front, The Batman, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Elvis, and The Whale. Music original score, the nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front, Volker Bertelmann, Babylon, Justin Hurwitz, The Banshees of Inisherin, Carter Burwell, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Son Lux, The Fabelmans, John Williams. Music original song, the nominees are Applause from Tell It Like a Woman, music and lyrics by Diane Warren, who always gets nominated, that's besides the point. Hold My Hand from Top Gun Maverick, music and lyrics by Lady Gaga and Blood Pop. Lift Me Up from Black Panther Wakanda Forever, music by Thames, Rihanna, Ryan Coogler, and Ludwig Göransson, lyrics by Thames and Ryan Coogler. Natu Natu from RRR, music by M.M. Keeravani, lyric by Chandler Bros. And This Is a Life from Everything Everywhere All at Once, music by Ryan Lott, David Byrne, and Mitski, lyric by Ryan Lott and David Byrne. Best Picture, the nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar, The Way of Water, excuse me, The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, Tar, Top Gun Maverick, Triangle of Sadness, and Women Talking. Production design, the nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar, The Way of Water, excuse me, Babylon, Elvis, The Fabelmans. Short film animated, the nominees are The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse, The Flying Sailor, Ice Merchants, My Year of Dicks. Really? Okay. And Ashish told me the world is fake, and I think I believe it. Okay. Short film, live action, the nominees are An Irish Goodbye, Evalu, Les Pupilles, Night Ride, and The Red Suitcase. Sound, the nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar, The Way of Water, excuse me, The Batman, Elvis, Top Gun Maverick. Visual effects. Nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar, The Way of Water, crap, The Batman, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Top Gun Maverick. Writing adapted screenplay, the nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front, Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery, Living, Top Gun Maverick, Women Talking. Now, the reason why I put these fingers up is because I had a question about Glass Onion and Top Gun Maverick, because they were both their own stories and were not adapted from anything else. So I questioned that when these came out earlier this week, and someone actually replied and said the laws, the rules of the Academy are that if it is a sequel, you're basically using characters and potentially some situations from a previous movie. So it is technically you're adapting the previous movie as a sequel. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but it does at the same time. So that's why Glass Onion and Top Gun Maverick were nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay and not Original Screenplay because of the bylaws of the Academy Awards, or the Academy itself, I should say. Writing original screenplay, the nominees are The Banshees of Inisherin, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, Tar, and Triangle of Sadness. I think that's all of them because that's all that the Oscars let me look at. So we'll do this again here in a second. Let's see, I got a message here. Is it from Mr. Scott Troutman, who I believe, Scott Troutman Wise, I should say. Congratulations on your marriage to Luke. I assume you're the one who's watching. So there you go. So congrats. And thanks for watching, as always. So here we go. So that was that. Before I get into the meat of some stuff, let's run a few little stories here and there. EastEnders legend Anita Dobson has been cast in the new Doctor Who, I believe in the new series that is filming now, not the movies that have already filmed with David Tennant. I believe this is the new Doctor Who series that the EastEnders legend Anita Dobson has signed on for. A new conspiracy theory has emerged recently that was debunked about 3 or 4 hours ago. Yeah, I thought it was you, Scott. You're welcome. So think back a few weeks. The Bengals were supposed to play. This is sports ball, by the way. The Cincinnati Bengals were supposed to be playing the Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football, and in Cincinnati. And during the game, it was midway through the first quarter. Bengals were up 7-3, and the Bengals were driving when a Bengals tight end, wide receiver T. Higgins, caught the ball and was tackled by a player on the Bills named Damar Hamlin. Damar got up for a second and then collapsed on the field. So play had stopped and they came out to check on him, and they had to do CPR on him for 10 minutes to get him breathing again. Then they got him on the gurney into the hospital. And luckily in Cincinnati, where the stadium where they were playing at, the hospital is literally like 2 minutes away. So they were able to get him to the hospital, and the EMTs kept him alive in the hospital, in the ambulance till they got to the hospital, and then they worked around the clock to keep him going. They put a breathing tube in him and all kinds of stuff, and they sat and watched. And gradually, as the week progressed, he awoke, he got better, was able to talk, discovered that he had a heart attack. Not a heart attack, it was some sort of heart issue that is like a 1 in a million things, where he was hit just at the precise time when the heart was opening or closing or something like that, which caused the thing to happen. So it became a big deal. It united everything, and the NFL decided that they were only going to allow the Bills and Bengals to play a 16-game season while everybody else played 17-game seasons. So they canceled that game, and then that affected the seedings in the playoffs, and then the potential for where a playoff game, the championship game, would be played if one or the other made it to it, or rather if the Bills made it to it, I should say. Which is odd, but I don't know. I guess that was, I don't know. Anywho, at last week's playoff game between the Bills and the Bengals, which was a playoff game, it was in Buffalo this time. Damar Hamlin was in the owner's box at the Bills, and they got a picture of him, but he was in shadow, and he was all, bunched up with a hood and coat and stuff like that, and was waving at the crowd. Now, the morons out there in the world saw that and said, I think the NFL playing a fast one on us. I think Damar Hamlin actually died on the field. It's impossible. How could someone still be alive after getting CPR for 10 minutes, and having that heart attack or whatever that was that happened? How could he still be alive? And then when they filmed him at the stadium where it was snowing and at nighttime, and he was in the way back of the owner's booth because he didn't want to upstage his team. He's all in shadow, so we can't really see his face. So I think that he really died And the NFL was covering up because that would be a bad story. Someone died in the NFL. They're going to have to cancel the season. There goes all their money. Oh my God, it's a fake story. He was cloned, or some actor portraying him or whatever. And then someone said that. And then more of these crazy whack jobs started saying, yes, it's a conspiracy. The NFL is hiding the body. That's not real. He really died. They should shut down the NFL, blah, 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 forever, blah, 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 blah. It's just all fucking noise. And then there was some sort of podcaster or something like that who comes out on Twitter and says, why hasn't Damar Hamlin come on and done a press conference or prove that he's alive? I think it's all cover up. It's like, he doesn't need to prove anything to you, you stupid fucking bitch. But the good news, and I'm sure they're probably going to find something wrong with this. The good news is Damar Hamlin, he didn't have to, but he did anyway, actually made a video today, and it was released like about 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago now. It's after 11, right around 8 o'clock, where he was talking about stuff and talking about his experience and thanking the hospital staff and the Bengals and the Bills and the NFL and the outpouring of people, because his, a lot of the NFL players, they start foundations and stuff like that. And before this happened, he was trying to set up a Christmas sort of present, sort of gift to inner city kids. And his goal was like $250,000 to get that much from people to donate. And he was doing pretty good so far. But the minute this happened and everyone felt for him and his family and stuff like that, the donations started coming in. I think he got close to 7, 8, it might be even further up to the $12-15 million zone now, from all these people. All the NFL teams, they gave some money and so on and so forth. So he came on, actually him, no shadows, a well-lit studio, on camera, talking, and obviously the lunatics are probably, I haven't checked the comments or anything like that, but I'm sure the lunatics are out there saying, that's not really him, that's an actor. That doesn't prove anything. It proves everything, you dumb fucks. Jesus Christ, shut the hell up. So that was the newest conspiracy that I think has pretty much been shot down now. Hopefully it has been. Of course, there's probably still going to be those lunatics out there who are saying that it was a fake film and blah, 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 deep fake, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I don't know. So, bleh on that. Already did that one. Boom. All right. Some animal stuff real quick, and then we'll get into some reviews here. A horse gave birth to twins. Now, I never knew that was even possible. I guess it is, because this horse gave birth to twin foals. So, mazel tov to you, horse. Outstanding. Good job there. It's not called this, but someone called this because what it does, there's a frog that breaks its bones to make claws when threatened. So people started calling him the Wolverine frog. So he breaks his own bones to create claws or something to defend himself from predators. And that's, kind of smart thinking there for a frog. 6 foot tall otters. What? Live in remote river system in South America. Actually, it's 3 remote river systems in South America. And they have pictures of them too, and they're big mamba jambas. They didn't look 6 feet to me, but that was taken from far away. 6 foot tall otters. Damn. Newly discovered pterosaur bones discovered that it had about 500 teeth, and it filtered its food like prehistoric whales did. So I guess sort of like regular whales do now with their krill. They open up their mouth and the stuff comes flying in, and they sort it all out with the 500 teeth. I guess it became sort of a strainer for them as well. I think there's a couple other animal ones before I do this as well on the other page here. Baby monkey takes care of baby ducks. There's pictures of that, which is absolutely gorgeous. Colorado bear takes 500 selfies on a trail camera. So that must have been a thing when the guy was checking the trail camera, and there's this bear. Here's a bear here. Here's a bear here. Here's the bear here. Here's the bear here. Here's the bear here. So that's kind of, I think that's all on this page. Let me just see if there's anything else. My handwriting this week is extraordinarily bad, so you got to bear with me here as I look through my stuff here. But it looks like this is all just regular news that we'll get to in a little bit here. There's more animal stuff on the other pages, but right now we're just going to cover these right now because I got a lot of award stuff to talk about, and I got some reviews and stuff like in dream stuff. So this is going to be probably a long episode. So Scott, hang along as long as you can, man. I appreciate it. We're already 20 minutes in. God. All right, here we go. The Return of In Dreams. Now, for those who haven't been watching the show, Scott has, so he's probably seen a couple of these anyway. Periodically, I have dreams and I remember them, and they're so odd or so unusual that I have to share them with the world. This is a little different, and it's sort of, this was earlier this week. It was like on Monday. It was Sunday into Monday night, I think, was when this actually happened. So then tonight, when I watched Everything Everywhere All at Once, I started thinking about stuff, and it just sort of, a lot of weird stuff is clicking on. And yeah, you can add Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness to that. Now, let's all take a breath. Okay, so we're going to connect all this together. So last May, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness came out. It was enjoyable. I wouldn't say it was the best Doctor Strange movie, but it was enjoyable. I had fun. But one of the lines in the movie was that the multiverse, when you're dreaming, when you're asleep and you're dreaming, you're actually dreaming of your multiverse selves. If you believe in a multiverse. Now, what is a multiverse? A multiverse, basically, let's cover this real quick. A multiverse basically is all the little changes you make that go into another timeline. I'll give you a good example. I'm talking to you right now, particularly you, Scott. I'm talking to you right now. I grabbed this pen. But what about where I didn't grab the pen, but I grabbed the Gatorade instead at that point, instead of grabbing the pen? So I created an offshoot where I grabbed the Gatorade first. That's a different version of myself now. So we're following that version over there. And then we're following the one where I picked up the pen because that was the first thing I did. So I moved that to that. And then I moved over and I picked up the Gatorade. So that was continuing on this line. But when I picked up the Gatorade first, that became a separate multiverse. That's kind of the way it goes, basically. Kind of the easiest way to do it. It's basically like if you go for a walk and you walk out your door and you go left, that's the way you decide to go, and that's the main timeline or whatever. But what if you went right? Well, that's a whole nother multiverse thing now. So you've created another multiverse where you actually went right. Now, what could happen? Probably nothing. But you might see something that you wouldn't have seen if you went left, but if you went right, or vice versa. You'd see something you went left that you didn't see going right. Or something happened to you going left that didn't happen to you going right. Another good example of that, and then I'll move on. I was in a minor car accident way back in 2011, and it destroyed my Honda, which was like my baby. I'd had it since 1999. It was my first car. I absolutely love the car. I had just put $2,800 into repairing this car that had over 100,000 miles on it. To repair everything that was wrong with it, windows, new brakes, a new front fender, new air conditioning. Just, I had this extra money laying around and I needed to get this car fixed because it was starting to run a little awkward a little bit. And it was old, 1999 to 2011. That's 10, 12, 13 years, something like that, 12 years. And I put a bunch of money into it. It took about 2 weeks for them to fix everything, but they did, and the car ran great. They said this car will probably run for another 100,000 miles, which is great because it was 11 years and I'd done 100,000 miles. So we're looking at, 11 years from that would have been last year, 2022, where if nothing would have happened with that, I could have still had that car and still been going with it like that. So regardless, it was my day to take my daughter. So this is about a month later. It was my day to take my daughter to her daycare. My wife and I worked out, however that worked out. I forget how it worked out, but that's how we worked it out. And so I was going down, so I was leaving my house and I come to the top of the road where I have to make a decision. Do I want to go to 795, take 695 to 83 and drop her off at her daycare there and then just hit 83 again to go to my work? I've done that way a bunch of times. Or did I want to go the back route, which was through Twisty and Turny, Hunt Valley, and stuff like that, farm country, stuff like that, horse country. It was enjoyable, relaxing like that. So I figured, I'll go that way. And so it's a two-lane road. So we're going this way, cars go this way. So there's lots of cars because everybody's heading towards Hunt Valley, which is a big hub. And so we're going not fast. We're going about 5-10 miles an hour, inching like that. So I'm inching. I stop because the car in front of me stopped. One behind me, I could see it. She wasn't paying attention, smashed right into my car. Now, my daughter was fine. I was fine. But I said she was going about 10 miles an hour. So it just smacked me into the car in front. But it was going hard enough and fast enough that it crushed my back and dinged. And then when I hit the car in front of me, it dinged my engine and stuff like that. So we took it off the side, called the police, and got that all taken care of. So I took my daughter back home, and then I had to deal with getting my car looked at and all that stuff. Make a long story short, they said that it couldn't be fixed, and I would get a settlement, but I couldn't, use the car. It was going to be totaled. So I got to thinking about this, and I think about it all the time. Is, as I said, I've taken the route from 795, 695 to 83 a number of times, and I keep thinking, what would have happened if I went the other way? Now, that's a better look at a multiverse than going right or left out your front door, because it actually could have happened. So if I would have gone to 795, 695, 83, I probably wouldn't have gotten into that accident unless it was destined for me to get in an accident, and it could have been a whole lot worse on the highway. Or, it creates a whole nother, as I said, whole nother multiverse. I'm driving, I take her to daycare. I don't have to, do anything with this car. The car, I still have it as of today, January 28th, 2023. Now I'm on my third car, which I've had now for about since before COVID. So 2019, for 4 years now. So it runs fine. It's great. So that's the idea of multiverse. So they say in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, they say that when you're dreaming of your alternate self sometimes. So whatever you dream and you're one of the stars of is something that probably happened in a multiverse somewhere. Now I have my own versions of stuff. We'll talk about that when we get to my review of Everything Everywhere and All at Once. In dreams, this is the one that I said from Sunday to Monday. It was one of these things where I was tossing and turning. If you were tuned into last week's episode, I had a little bit of a scratchy throat. It's a little bit better now. I'm coughing a little bit more now because the mucus is starting to build up. My throat isn't as sore as it once was. So I wasn't sleeping very well. So I would wake up and I would change my pillow because my pillow gets really, really warm, and I love a cool pillow. And I flip the pillow and I go back to sleep. And I get up and flip the pillow, go back to sleep. And so on and so forth. That happened for about 2 hours, I guess, from like 2 to 4 a.m. Now, what's weird about that, and where the whole multiverse thing comes into play, and where it connects to Everything Everywhere All at Once, is that during that period from 2 to 4, I would be sleeping and I would be dreaming of something. And I don't remember what I was actually dreaming of, but I remember it was a specific dream. And then I woke myself up because I was uncomfortable. My back was hurting. The pillow was hot. My stomach was whatever. I coughed, whatever. I flipped the pillow and closed my eyes, went back to sleep. And then like that, the dream I had been dreaming about was gone, and a completely new dream had appeared. Okay, that's kind of weird, but all right. So I dreamt a little bit about that. Woke up again, turned the pillow, changed my side, took my shirt off, whatever. Slept on top of the blankets, whatever. Go back to sleep. It's another dream, completely different dream. Again, not connected to the other two, because usually I'm pretty good at keeping my dreams linear, at least remembering where I left off and continuing, because I have a modicum of a control of dream that I like to believe I have a modicum of control of my dreams, because I know I had done it before. So to me, it was almost like a remote control dream. So basically, if someone was going, click, all right, this is boring, click, this is boring, click, this is boring. And it happened multiple times until I was finally out, and I had to wake up an hour later to go to work, or get up to go to work. So that was just kind of a weird sort of thing that, what does it say? Yeah, it just all kinds of just weird stuff. dreamed of seeing a river empty into the ocean. I was in a car was another one. Some other weird stuff. So it was like someone was clicking a remote control in my dreams and I was jumping into all these different things. Now, could that have been me peering into my different multiverses as Doctor Strange's Multiverse of Madness declares? It's possible. And then I went and I saw, or I had the DVD, the Blu-ray of it. So then I went and saw Everything Everywhere All at Once today. And as of, earlier when I read all the Oscar nominations, I think it has the most 10 nominations. Well deserved. A lot of the acting ones are up there. It's a wonderful movie. It took a little bit of time to get started for me, but once it got started, it went absolutely batshit crazy. It's actually easier to understand than you might think, considering the storyline. And I think everybody did a spectacular job. I think Ke Huy Quan steals the show. I think he's probably the absolute, in my opinion, my favorite character in the movie. Michelle Yeoh, of course, holds the whole thing together, being the star of the film and doing what she has to do. She does it in a spectacular way. Jamie Lee Curtis in another grand supporting role, getting her first Oscar nomination ever for that, playing an unlikable character that you discover later on has a lot more layers than you'd like to expect. Stephanie Hsu as the villain is a very interesting villain. I'm not going to spoil it if you haven't seen it yet, but it's a very, very interesting villain, how that plays off and how things go. The fact that the whole movie takes place really only in a few hours in one day, and seeing everything that happens, it was like watching like 3 to 5 different movies because they jump from everywhere. So I'll just give you the basis. If you don't know what Everything Everywhere All at Once is about, basically Michelle Yeoh plays a beaten down by life woman who runs a laundromat and is in danger of losing her laundromat and her house. Her husband is contemplating, played by Ke Huy Quan, is he actually has filed for divorce and is trying to get her to sign the divorce papers because he feels like she treats him like garbage and doesn't love him, and it's just sort of a convenience for them to be married. She has a bad relationship with her daughter, who turns out is a lesbian, which is neither here nor there, doesn't matter. It's a great story and it played very well. And she also has to deal with her overbearing father, who now is suffering from dementia or some kind of weird stuff like that, played by the wonderful James Hong. And her whole life is just going downhill, and she has to go to the IRS office where she's dealing with a outrageously awful IRS agent played by Jamie Lee Curtis. But then things start going weird when her husband reverts and acts like someone that is not her meekish husband. Her husband is kind of weak, mild-mannered, whatever. And all of a sudden, there's a new voice and new attitude coming from her husband all of a sudden, who claims he's from a multiverse and she's the only one who can stop the evil that is coming. And so the rest of the movie is basically trying to get her to explain what the multiverse is, which they do very well, by the way. It's an outstanding. If you when they first announce something, you're like, what the hell are you talking about? And then literally like a few seconds later, like, well, this is what we mean by that. And it's just like, oh, okay. So you're not sitting there thinking, what the hell is he talking about? And having to wait for the conversation to come about what's happening with it. It's there almost immediately. This is what's going on. Boom. Oh, okay. I get it now. If you start, if you just sit back, relax, and just don't think about things, it's wonderfully, it's absolutely wonderful. And then all of a sudden you just jump, to all these different multiverses, all these different lives. The way that they have to jump into the bodies is outstanding, doing something unusual and create. It is absolutely. I can't explain it. It's hard to describe it without ruining it for anybody. So I'm not going to explain it, but just it's the entire movie has a very wicked sense of humor. So to say 3 words: hot dog fingers. That's all I got to say about that. So those who've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen it, you got to see it just for that. And the multiverse rocks. Excuse me. That's something else too. That you just need to see for yourself. The sense of humor is out of control in this movie. It's an experience, and I'm really happy that it got nominated for the most Oscars this year because it is really a really good movie. And I think I'll be preaching this to friends and family over the next few weeks leading up to the Oscars, because I have a good feeling about that. So if you have not seen it yet, and I don't know, Scott, if you've seen it or not, yet or not, but if you haven't seen it, see it. I got the Blu-ray. It's out on Blu-ray now. I don't know if it's on any streaming services yet. You might be able to get it on Amazon. You might have to pay for it. But the Blu-ray is available. And I guess if there's a red box somewhere around, I don't see them that much anymore. I think there's one at my Giant nearby. I don't know if the one at Royal Farm Store is even there anymore. But if you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend you go see it. It's just, it's an experience. And the fact that it's been nominated for 10 Oscars, it might make you more interested. Not just you, Scott. I haven't seen it, but it's on my list. Yes, definitely go see it. See it before the Oscars, because I'm not just saying you, Scott, but everybody. Go see it before the Oscars. That way, I'm hoping you'll like it as much as I did, and that way you'll be able to want to watch the Oscars to see if it actually wins any awards. Now, I don't think it's, when you get to supporting actress, you've got 2 people from the movie, Stephanie Hsu and Jamie Lee Curtis, running against each other. Only one of them can really win. I mean, they haven't really done ties in a really long time. So it's not going to win at least one of their Oscars, but the fact that it was nominated itself is just amazing. But we'll get to that in a couple months, when we probably probably 6 weeks from now, probably. So 6 episodes puts us at around 490. I guess episode 490 will be around the time we're going to do the Oscar thing. But definitely go see it. That way you'll want to watch the Oscars to see if it wins any awards. Now, also, Top Gun Maverick, which has been a huge hit, also might draw more people to it, and Avatar also might draw more people to the Oscars too, which is good because the Oscar ratings have been going down for a while. It might also be good to see if Brendan Fraser is going to pull off the win as well, because he is one of the nicest guys in town. Ke Huy Quan is also one of the nicest guys in the world. His story is amazing, going from Short Round and Data and a 1980s child actor to not being able to work for close to 20 plus years. And then all of a sudden, his first major role back, and he's getting awards out the wazoo. He's been cast in Loki season 2, and he's also being talked about now for other big budget films and big storyline films. So good on him. He's also a really nice guy as well. So as I said, it starts off a little slow as they got to build up the story of Michelle Yeoh's character, who is basically the prime character in the film. You'll know what I mean when you see it. But it's a multiverse movie. It actually does the multiverse better than Multiverse of Madness. Sorry, Doctor Strange, starring Marvel, but I'm telling the truth right now. And the cast is, again, sorry, Marvel, is much better than Doctor Strange's Multiverse of Madness. Obviously, Elizabeth Olsen and Benedict are great as well, and Wong and everybody right there. But I'm just telling the truth right now. That's just how it is. So definitely, Everything Everywhere All at Once, worth it 100%. Watch it before the Oscars so that you can go and cheer it on, hope that it wins, so that if it does, you can say, I saw the best picture of 2022. Now, going from one crazy film to another crazy film, Roku Channel, in a weird decision, decided to do an original movie called Weird, the Al Yankovic Story, starring Daniel Radcliffe, who everyone knows played Harry Potter. and it's a biopic of Weird Al Yankovic. So it was like, oh, that's really cool. They got Daniel Radcliffe to play him, and a biopic by Weird Al is kind of interesting, but okay. And then you saw the first trailer, and you're like, what? What am I watching? Because it was absolutely chaotic, but it was funny as hell. And then you start thinking, and you're like, oh, Weird Al is most known for being a musician who changed lyrics to popular songs and made parody songs of them. And he became fairly popular, and he helped the people he parodied by having people go out and buy the original albums and songs so they could hear both versions of it. And Weird Al's had a really good career. His touring concerts, from what I've heard, are outstanding, are some of the best that they've ever seen, that people have ever seen. And it's absolutely insane. But you got to remember, he parodied music. He made a movie called UHF, which parodied cable TV shows. So why not parody biopics, but about your own life? And that's exactly what they did. Daniel Radcliffe as Weird Al Yankovic is outstanding. I did not even see Daniel Radcliffe after a while. He just sort of blended into Weird Al. He got what he was doing. He knew this was all parody, but he played it straight. It's a parody of music biopics, you see, like The Doors and 8 Mile and all this type of thing. And it also parodied 1980s action films and drug films and stuff like that. Great cast. Rainn Wilson as Dr. Demento, Toby Huss as his dad, Jeanette Nicholson as his mom, Evan Rachel Wood as Madonna, who plays his love interest, which never happened. Sorry, folks. Also, his parents in this movie are absolutely detest their child wanting to write parodies of songs and playing the accordion, where it was the absolute opposite. They encouraged him to play the accordion because his uncle or whatever, I think, or someone he's related to, a Yankovic he's related to, was a hugely popular accordion player in the old days. So they encouraged that in this movie, because you see the biopics with all the, like, the Elton Johns and the stuff like that, where the parents just start, don't like what their kids are doing and trying to stop them from becoming musicians and destroying their hopes and dreams. They made that parody in this film. But if you look at the real life of Weird Al Yankovic, his parents are very supportive of him. And he's admitted as much. And plus, he never had a relationship with Madonna. And yes, if you haven't seen the movie yet, just real quick, slight spoiler, Weird Al Yankovic did not kill Pablo Escobar, and Madonna did not take over as a drug kingpin. I'm sorry, that just is the only spoiler I'm going to tell you. Just for that scene alone, you need to go see it if you haven't seen it already. It's on the Roku channel. It's free. You don't need to pay for the Roku channel. There might be something that pops up and says, hey, you can become a free member. You don't need to. Just go to the screen. You'll be able to watch it yourself. Now, it was odd. In the first 15 minutes of the movie, it stopped, and there were 4 commercials, like Nintendo Switch, and some other real commercials. They weren't fake ones that Weird Al was doing. They were real commercials for stuff that's actually out there now. And then the film started up again. Excuse me. About a half hour later, one more commercial came on. It's the same Nintendo Switch one that they did earlier. And then for the rest of the movie, there was no commercial. So it didn't make any sense why they top-heavied the commercials at the beginning and then didn't do anything the rest. I'm glad I didn't want to see any more commercials, but the fact that they had 5 in the first hour of the movie just didn't make any sense to me. And they were all compressed into small areas. But it is a fun, entertaining film. It's worth it alone for the pool scene where Dr. Demento takes Weird Al to his pool party, and you see all these 1980s icons and musicians and comedians like Pee Wee Herman and Wolfman Jack and Divine and members of Queen, and who else was in there? And Salvador Dali and Andy Warhol. I guess they were more 70s, but I guess early 80s they were still around as well. You see all them and a whole bunch more. God, I was looking at Elton John's there, and I was looking at, and I was trying to figure out who's Frank Zappa, I think, was there also. Alice Cooper, stuff like that. But you just have, but there are people, obviously people playing these roles, actors playing these roles, but it's a very funny scene. And it's even more funny when you hear Daniel Radcliffe's voice, and he's got the English accent down really good, or rather the Weird Al accent as well, sort of his sort of Yankovic sort of way of talking. Sorry, Scott. And he has it down really good. That's why he loses himself in the character. You don't really see Daniel Radcliffe in him. And then when it comes to the singing bits, from what I heard behind the scenes, Daniel Radcliffe actually did sing the songs. But as to make it more fun of the parody, they overlaid Weird Al's actual tracks onto... Excuse me. That was a sucker that was stuck there. Weird Al's actual vocal track onto it. So that was made even more bizarre to see Weird Al Yankovic's singing voice coming out of Daniel Radcliffe's acting voice. So it was just kind of really funny to see that. It is a freaking hilarious movie. Al Yankovic loves Hawaiian shirts. I love Hawaiian shirts. He had a camouflage Hawaiian shirt that I want to get now, which I think is the coolest thing in the world. Weird Al actually does a new song for the end credits, which is outstanding. I think it's called Now You Know. And it's not a parody song. It's funny. They claim that Eat It was an original song, and that Michael Jackson actually stole it from him, which is outstanding as well. And it's just, and how Amish Paradise comes about, and Like a Virgin, it's and Like a Surgeon, and all, it's outstanding. The movie's outstanding. The performances are outstanding. It is funny as hell, and it is one of the best parodies I've ever seen. And again, Scott, if you have not seen this, you definitely need to check out Weird the Al Yankovic Story, just for the chaotic weirdness that it is. So it was a good sort of double dip for me here, with Everything Everywhere All at Once and Weird Al Yankovic Story. Just two off the wall chaotic films, almost back to back. I had dinner in there in between there and did some reading in between there, but absolutely outstanding, and highly recommend that as well to everyone out there too. So those are my reviews for that. I was hoping to get a few other ones done, but I got lazy. And then my family comes home tomorrow, probably about 11. So I think I go to work. So yay. One more thing on this page before I move on to the regularly scheduled program. Matt Fraction and Kelly Sue DeConnick are comic book writers who also happen to be married and have been married for a long time. They live out in Portland. They have a family, and they've both been in successful comics. They've also both done independent comics, I should say. And Amazon Prime, who's all over the place this week, has picked up to want to make adaptations of Matt Fraction's and Chip Zdarsky's Sex Criminals comic book and Kelly Sue DeConnick's Bitch Planet comic story. Now, real quick, for those who don't know, Sex Criminals is about two people who discover that when they have sex, I mean, actual physical, it's not oral, it's actual physical penetration, that they can stop time and they can uncouple and time will still be stopped. Oh no, they have to orgasm. That's right. They have to orgasm first, which stops time. And so they can uncouple, and then they can go and they can mess around and do stuff while everything is frozen. And then I forget how it happens or why it happens. Then it reverts back normal and the stuff happens. So they start deciding that they're going to start breaking into places and stealing things. They go to a bank, they do it, they both climax, freezes time, they go and they steal money from a bank vault, so on and so forth. Now it takes a weird turn when they discover there's actually like a sex police variance that goes around to stop certain people, because apparently there's more than these two people who can do that. There's actually a lot of people who, when they climax, they can stop time. And this police group is supposed to stop them from committing crimes. So it's again an out there storyline, and I don't know how you can do it. I guess Amazon Prime would be the best. It's a streaming thing. It would have to be a mature audience only sort of thing. But there's more to it than just the sex and stuff like that. And then Bitch Planet, I think, is about a women's penal planet where it's the whole planet is a giant jail for women who are the worst criminals, but they're not. They're just because men are stupid, and they rise up and stuff like that. So I didn't really read Bitch Planet as much as I did Sex Criminals, but those are now in the works at Amazon Prime. So we'll see if they actually come to fruition. We'll see what happens. Now here we are, 50 minutes in. Scott's still with me. Thank you. Now we're getting to the news here. Korea has an erotic theme park. Now, I did not know about this till right before I was getting ready to do the show. I just did one last check on Facebook to see if there's anything new that came up before I came on. And this guy had taken a camera and was doing like a documentary about the erotic place. And it's definitely interesting. So that's all I have to say about that. But yes, there is a Korean erotic theme park. Tomorrow, because it's still not quite midnight yet, that's still about 20 minutes from now. Tomorrow will be the conference championships for football. The AFC Conference Championship will be the Bengals versus the Bills. Not the Bills, I'm sorry. Bengals versus the Chiefs in Kansas City. Winner of that goes to the Super Bowl. And in the NFC, we have the Eagles taking on the San Francisco 49ers in Philadelphia. The winner of that goes and faces the winner of the AFC for the Super Bowl. So you're going to get your Super Bowl teams by about 9:30, 10 o'clock tomorrow night. Anyway, Philadelphia is such a huge sports town, and they have the home game against the 49ers that if Philadelphia wins and ends up going to the Super Bowl tomorrow, police officers are afraid of crazy not really riots, but like celebrations that are going to go awry, because it happened 5-6 years ago when they went to the Super Bowl to play the Patriots and ended up beating them. It happened when when that happened. So police have decided they're going to grease poles so people cannot climb up the poles and do their dances and smash things in excitement. So I guess that makes sense a little bit. Now I think about that now, we got about less than 20 minutes before 1986. I'm not, but before January 28th ends. 3 things real quick, 2 anniversaries and 1 sort of personal thing. First, a sad anniversary. January 28th, 1986 was the day that the Space Shuttle Challenger, the first Challenger to have a space shuttle to blow up and kill all the astronauts on board, including the first ever teacher who was going to go in outer space, Krista McAuliffe. It happened in January 28th, 1986. I remember it because I was in middle school, and a lot of people were watching it in science class. I wasn't, but a lot of people were. And I was at lunch when somebody came in and told us that the Space Shuttle Challenger had blown up. Now, we had known that the Challenger was going to launch that day, and there was a teacher in it, so we thought this person was kidding. So we started making jokes about it, and then we went to back to class, and we found out that it was for real. So then I felt bad for making the jokes, and then I went home, turned on our TV at home, and just watched all the news coverage and stuff like that. It was really awful, and still is now, 86, 96, 2006, 2016. 37 years later, it's still pretty terrible. And that, along with the 2001 destruction of, I think it was Columbia, has helped push the space agency back. I always like to say, what if the Challenger never exploded? Would we be on Mars by now? Would we be back on the moon by now? But because due to the accident, they shut down the space program for like 3 years, and that just pushed everything back from that point on. And then when it happened again in 2001, same thing. They push it back like 2 or 3 years before they went launching again. So hard to say what would happen because, again, like with the multiverse, you never know what's going to happen. Somewhere in the multiverse, we're on Mars right now. It's the way it is, really. You just think of anything, and it would probably happen. Now, something good about January 28th. January 28th, 2001, 22 years ago, the Baltimore Ravens, my football team, won their first ever Super Bowl against the New York Giants. They won 34-7. It was the first time I was able to ever really cheer. And not really, because I was a Washington Redskins fan back when they were the Redskins and they were in the Super Bowl a few times. I was able to cheer for them there, but this was a little bit more closer to home, being from Baltimore. Plus, I was working at the radio station at that time, and we were broadcasting the Ravens games. So literally the next day or so after the Super Bowl, when they came back, we had a huge party for them outside of their facility, their old facility, which is now Stevenson University, which is literally 15 minutes from this house. And there was a big party out there, and Brian Billick, who was coach, and Ray Lewis, and Jamal, I forget his last name though, our running back, they came out and held up the Lombardi Trophy and let everybody touch it. So my fingerprints are on the 2001 Lombardi Trophy for the Baltimore Ravens. So I think it's really cool. On a personal note, I always remember this because I'm weird. January 28th was also the birthday of my high school crush. My high school crush was a woman by the name of Andy Clark, Andy Clark, who in 9th grade, we sat next to each other in English class, 6th period. And I thought she was the most amazing woman I'd ever met. She was beautiful, and she was talking to me. And soon we had a kind of a friendship. She didn't really hang out with me much outside of that class, but she did allow me to walk her to her next class. My class, actually, I walked to my classes on the 2nd floor, and then she literally had to go down the steps, and her class was like underneath mine on the 1st floor. So, I got to talk to her for a little bit, and I guess I talked to her more than that, I guess, but I was obsessed with her through high school, which kind of ruined my, I guess, high school romance type thing, because there were at least 2 women that I knew who had crushes on me that I kind of ignored because I was too focused on Andy. And then it gets even weirder too. No, real quick before I get that. So she had a beautiful voice. So in 9th grade, we had a spring chorus thing, and she had a solo in the chorus thing, and I was able to record it. And I played that tape back so many times, hearing her solo all the time. And then we weren't in any more classes really for the rest of my high school career. I think we were in homeroom together, but by then she probably didn't even remember who I was, probably. But I was obsessed with her because that's what I am. I'm an idiot. And it gets weirder. So where my mom lives now is where I grew up. The house I grew up in, the neighborhood I grew up in. Now, about 3 doors down from my mom's house was a house that, back when I was growing up, was owned by the Pools. And I was friends with their children, Bill and Terrell. I've never heard the name Terrell ever again, except for this girl who I knew, who was about a year younger than I was, and Bill was about a year older than I was. Anyway, I was at their house all the time. We part of the group that we hung out, and we played a lot during the week, during the summer, stuff like that. We went to their house a bunch of times. We watched them play the Atari when it first came out. They had a finished basement with carpeting and all kinds of cool stuff, which I never had because my house that my mom was still isn't finished. It's an old school cellar sort of house. Anyway, I found out a little later, I guess it was, we were still in high school. It must have been we were still in. Yeah, we were still in high school. So obviously it must have been senior year, junior year, something like that. Now remember, I had really didn't know see her that much because we weren't in class together, and she kind of ignored me anyway, even when we were in the same homeroom together. Anyway, I remember I was like outside my house one day, just playing after school or something like that. And I saw a convertible drive up, and it was Mr. Poole. Apparently, he and Mrs. Poole had gotten a divorce or separated or whatever. And I don't know if I knew about that. I don't think I did. But I saw Mr. Poole. I guess I did because it didn't seem weird that he was in a car with a young woman who was my age. And Mr. Poole went into the house, I guess, to get the kids or talk to his ex-wife or whatever. And I happened to notice that in the car was Andy. And I thought that was really kind of weird. It's like, why is she in the car? So I got up my nerve and said, hey, Andy. And she's like, I don't remember exactly what she said, but I started talking to her, and turns out that her mom was dating Mr. Poole. And he was driving her home from school or dance or something. So that was kind of wild. So happy birthday, Andy. I have no idea. I lost track of you a long time ago. After, I don't even know where you went to college. I mean, they had the list of colleges. Salem College, something like that. I don't remember. I got to see if I can dig out my old, because what they did in our senior issue of our newspaper, they listed where everybody was going to college. So I don't know where Andy went. And I don't even know if I would, even recognize her or whatever. If I tried to type that in, I doubt I would even find that, because you type in Andy Clark or Adrian Clark, it's going to be like a million people. Same thing. If you type in Dylan Lang, you're going to find like 30, 50 people that are named Dylan Lang, spelled the same way as my name. And I've done, you Google yourself before and you see what comes up like that. And it's kind of funny to see stuff. I think I Googled myself once, and I was like a track star out in Arizona, a swimming star here, football player there. And then there's me. So happy birthday, Andy. Wherever you are, you just turned 50. Congratulations. I'll be with you in June, turning 50 as well. So fun time. So I want to get that in before it becomes January 29th, which is going to be in 9 minutes. So continuing on. Oreo has always gone crazy with their Oreo flavors. Some are good, some are bad, some are indifferent. This one is just lazy. And I think they've done something similar before, but now they just changed the name to realize that they were doing just basically what we thought they were doing. Oreo's new flavor is Oreo stuffed Oreos. The Oreo cream in the Oreos is going to have Oreos in it. Sarah Michelle Gellar, who, believe it or not, has been a crush. But the weird thing is, and this is getting a little personal, but we're getting close to midnight anyway. And Scott, if you don't want to hear this, you can go, la, 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 I don't want to hear this. I never had any sexual thoughts about Sarah. It's the weirdest thing in the world. She's a crush. I had a picture up on my wall when I was in college. And, well, actually, not in college, because it was 97 when she became hugely popular. It was when I was still living at home. My mom made fun of me that way, and I still have the pictures up there. And then when my mom first met my in-laws, my soon-to-be in-laws, she mentioned that. I was just like, God, so embarrassing. Thanks a lot, Mom. I was like 20-some years ago, but still. Regardless, I don't remember ever having sexual thoughts about Sarah. I just don't know. I just like her. And I like her husband, Freddie Prinze Jr., and I like her family, and I like what she's doing. My new dream now, and I've mentioned this before on the show, so Scott, you probably already heard this before, but for those who haven't, my other dream now is that her daughter Charlotte is roughly about 9 months or so younger than my son Noah. And Noah, because he has such a August 25th birthday, he's probably a year ahead of her in schooling, but they're around the same age. So my new dream now is that Noah goes to college and Charlotte ends up going to the same college as Noah, and they fall in love, and get married, and Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr. are my in-laws. Could happen. Scott's like, God damn it, don't shut up. But, anyway, I'm wearing this today in honor of Sarah because her new show, Wolfpack, is started streaming on Paramount this week. It is, I guess, kind of a spinoff of the Teen Wolf series. And she's not really playing Buffy. She's playing an arson investigator who just happens to get involved with hunting down these 4 werewolves. And she's not really the main star of it, even though they're pushing her as the main star because she's got the name and she's back to supernatural adventure show, stuff like that. And she is producing it. But her new show has started streaming this week. She's been all over the place over the last few weeks promoting it. And I talked about her the last few weeks as well. So I'm not going to cover that, but I had to fit it in somehow so I can be okay with wearing this shirt. So moving on from that. Now you know a little bit more about Dylan and his crushes. Anywho, Call Me Kat, which is Mayim Bialik's new TV show, has cast Jack McBrayer from 30 Rock to play the new baker, filling in for the deceased Leslie Jordan. I guess Leslie Jordan played this baker on the show, and when he passed away, they needed to not recast it, but to bring in a new character to take the place because they need to have the baker there, I guess. I've never watched the show, so I'm not sure, but I figured I mentioned that anyway. So there's that. So that's good about that. Attack the Block was a kind of a not a major hit, but it was a cult favorite sort of thing about a group of streetwise kids who helped fend off an alien invasion. Well, the director is getting the band back together for Attack the Block 2, which he's taking advice from Aliens and Terminator 2 and wants to up the ante on the fantasy elements of it and make it increasingly more exciting and huge sequel on par with the original, much like Aliens and Terminator 2 are. So more to come on that. So that's good about that. Speaking of Terminator, stuff to make you go, God damn it, scientists. Sometimes you shouldn't do some of the stuff that you do. There's a video out there now of a shape-shifting robot, little robot, not too big, that was created by scientists who is inside a little jail. And the robot melted down, squeezed through the bars, and re-solidified, much like the T-1000 did in Terminator 2. So basically, scientists have created the blueprint for the T-1000. And the video is there, the actual video of a little robot that they created, liquefying, crawling out of his cage, and re-solidifying. Science, sometimes you just got to say no. On the plus side, this isn't really science, this is more technology, but about a heated lunchbox. You ever think about that? A brand new heated lunchbox, big one, now has a built-in heater with it that you can use in the back, and you can type in how hot you want it to keep it, if you just want to keep it slightly warm, or if you want it to get really, really warm, and about what time you plan on eating, so that it knows that it'll heat it just to the right amount of time, then it'll shut down so that when you open it up, it'll be nice and hot. Something I've never seen before, but I'm surprised it hasn't been invented before now, but there you go. Well, humans have a decent run at least before the robots take over. That's right. Scott knows what he's talking about, too. There's a lot of stuff going on about that right now. And that comes to another story that I don't think is on this page. But we'll come back to this story in just a minute or 15 minutes. Where was I going to go with this next? A company built employees tiny houses instead of an office cubicle. So basically, if you worked in an office, and and I've worked in an office before, and I don't know if you have, Scott, or not, but or any of you else out there who's watching the show, if you've ever been in an office before, the cubicles are kind of, They can be different here and there, but there's just like three walls, sometimes four if you're lucky. 3 walls. You have a desk, your computer, telephone, shelving, drawers, a wheelie chair that you can spin around on, stuff like that. And you do your work from there. You can decorate it with pictures of your family or your favorite things. When I worked at Diamond, I worked in a cubicle, and because Diamond is a comic book toy blah blah distributor, I brought out toys that I had and decorated my office with toys and stuff like that. And then there was stuff that I would get and buy from the company that I would put in there. That leads me to another story real quick that I just have to tell. So I bought on a discount from Diamond when I was an employee there, a wonderful snow globe, a gorgeous looking snow globe with this awesome base that was carved with an intricate design, stuff like that. And the snow globe itself was from Edward Scissorhands. And inside the snow globe was Edward in a field of white with the statue of, I guess it was Winona Ryder's character in the movie, where he's using his scissor hands to carve ice. And the beautiful Danny Elfman score of Ice Dance plays in the movie. But in the snow globe, you would turn it on. It's not one of those that you shake, and it was an automatic one, so it would keep it spinning. And it would look like he was, carving the ice, and the ice was spreading around in the snow globe. It was absolutely gorgeous. I loved it. I bought it. It was mine. And when I moved upstairs at Diamond to become a brand manager, I had it on my desk. A whole bunch of stuff. One guy, I forget who it was, came to me one day and asked if he could borrow the Edward Scissorhands snow globe to show it off for someone. Maybe say, hey, we sell this stuff or whatever. And I was like, yes, it's fine, but can you bring it back? It's mine. And he's like, okay, I guess you didn't hear me, because I never got it back again. I think he assumed that it was something I got from the company that just happened to be my cubicle, because I did store some stuff that wasn't necessarily mine, but still, he never returned it. And very soon after that, I left the company. So I'm kind of pissed that it basically got stolen from me. Even though it didn't really get stolen because it wasn't done in malice. He asked me, and I said it was okay. And maybe I had to be more clear about it, but that kind of pissed me off, though. So, but now think about it. Wouldn't it have been cool to have a tiny, now maybe not, because if you have a tiny house, you can get distracted quickly, because tiny houses are about the size of this basement probably. And you have your bedroom, your bathroom, a kitchen, living room, and then you have your workstation or whatever. But the fact is they had it all in this one area. And I guess it was, you didn't need to have the office cubicle thing where you had your cubicle and then next to you was another person here. Next to you on this side was another person there. And if you were unlucky, there was a person next to you on this side as well. And, the houses were all separate. So I guess they were doing like Zoom stuff and so on and so forth like that. So that's but still it's kind of interesting that the company went out of its way to do that. Kevin Costner and Morgan Freeman are thinking about producing a Civil War TV series, I guess on streaming thing. I don't know. That was just something that they're starting to work on, I guess, though Costner is going to be busy on his Horizon story, which is going to be a lot of movies about the making of the Old West. But to have Kevin Costner and Morgan Freeman working together on a Civil War series is actually kind of cool. I don't know if they're going to be acting in it, but they could be producing it, writing it, whatever, directing it, whatever. But it's kind of neat to have those two together. An anniversary from, it wasn't the 28th, but from sometime this week. 1987, Unsolved Mysteries debuted on NBC. You can now see the reboot on Netflix now. I think it's Netflix. The Last of Us, the Pedro Pascal, hugely popular TV show based on the computer video game, has been renewed for a second season after the first 2 episodes of the show have just destroyed streaming records and stuff like that, as supposed to. I wish Netflix would have done that, where as soon as Sandman was destroying stuff, they would have renewed it the second season like that, instead of us waiting for like 6 months before they said, oh yeah, by the way, we're doing a second season. On top of that, a Tomb Raider series based on the video game is going to Amazon Prime. As I said, Amazon Prime's all over the place this week. Amazon Prime is creating a Tomb Raider series, but they're also going to create video games and a movie, which are all going to be connected with the TV series. So it's all going to be one little Tomb Raider universe. So whoever they get to play Tomb Raider will be in the video game and the movie and this stuff. The producer is going to be Phoebe Waller. What's her name? I can't see her last name. Phoebe Waller, something or other. She's a producer actress. She's going to be in the new Indiana Jones movie. Bridger. Phoebe Waller-Bridger. She's in the new Indiana Jones movie, and she's produced a bunch of other stuff as well. So she's producing this as well. Easter. I know we haven't gotten even to Valentine's Day yet, but Easter, you know how these places are. I'd be surprised if there's even any Valentine's Day stuff in anywhere. I mean, I know there's some in the grocery store, but if you go to a Target or a Walmart, I'm sure they're starting to get some of the Easter stuff is starting to inch its way in now. Rainbow milk chocolate eggs are new for Easter. So usually you get those, the chocolate eggs are wrapped in colored foil, you know, the ones you get at the bottom of your Easter basket or whatever. Now they're actually going to be like colored chocolate, I believe, from what it looked like. So you open up the wrapper, it's going to be like a red and a green and a blue, but that's going to be still chocolate egg. But it's going to have a color on it. I think that's what it was when I saw this ad. I was like, okay, I guess that's interesting. Nicole Kidman and Maya Erskine are going to lead the new HBO Max limited series, The Perfect Nanny. I guess after Nicole Kidman finishes some of her other jobs she's got to do. Jennifer Garner and Emma Myers from Wednesday. I told you this story before. I'm going to say it again for those who don't know. Emma Myers, speaking of when I worked at Diamond, I worked with a guy at Diamond named Chris Myers, and his sister was Shelly Myers. I worked with her also at Diamond. Their cousin's daughter is Emma Myers. So I know the second cousin of Emma Myers. I mean, well, I was, Chris and I were hotel buddies for a convention weekend, or actually it was more of a week because we went there on like a Tuesday to set up everything. And then the event was like Thursday through Sunday or whatever. Then we had to break everything down. And no, it was like a Wednesday, I guess. And then it was like Friday was set up, or Thursday was set up, Friday, Saturday, Sunday was a show. Monday was breakdown. And then we came back on Tuesday. It was up in Boston. So we were roommates in a hotel room there. And we also worked in the same division of customer service for a while before he was elevated upstairs. And I followed him soon afterwards. But yes, his cousin's daughter is Emma Myers, who was in Wednesday. Jennifer Garner and Emma Myers will be playing mother-daughter in a new Netflix body swap movie called Family Leave, which also will star Rita Moreno as well. It's going to be an interesting little story to see how that works out. The body swap movies haven't really been, they were numerous back in like the 90s, and now all of a sudden they are early 2000s. Now they're gone, but now I guess they're coming back. Disney Plus's Goosebumps show has added Rob Hubel to the cast. Disney Plus is also just about, not Disney Plus, but the Percy Jackson TV series is just about done production, and they have announced the casting of who. Well, they've already filmed their scenes, but they didn't want to reveal the cast until the right time. But Lance Reddick will be playing Zeus, and Toby Stevens will be playing Poseidon in the Percy Jackson TV series coming up probably early 2024, I would say. I thought they would be able to get it out by the end of 2023 when Riordan releases his new Percy Jackson book, but it doesn't look like that. They're going to get the special effects done in time and the editing done in time for this year. So it'll be sometime in 2024. So whatever, but it's going to be worth it. I think this show's going to be great. And I actually really like this casting. So yeah, we talked about the Oscars a little bit. And I mentioned John Williams' name. John Williams has now become the oldest ever person nominated for an Oscar at the age of 90. And also, this comes up later on, and I'm talking about it right now. He also now has the record for the most nominated awards. Most nominated person in Oscar history is now John Williams also. So, hooray. Blake Lively and Justin Baldwin are starring in a movie adaptation of Colleen Hertz's It Ends With Us novel. I don't know if that's her real name, but I can't read my handwriting, but It Ends With Us is the thing they're doing it there. The Bear star Ayo Edebiri has also been cast in the Thunderbolts movie, which is going to start filming this summer down in Atlanta. Willem Dafoe has also been asked to join the Nosferatu remake by Robert Eggers, who directed him in the Lighthouse movie. Funny thing about that is Willem Dafoe has actually played Nosferatu before in the underseen film Shadow of the Vampire with John Malkovich, about the making of Nosferatu and the fact that in this movie, John Malkovich, as a director, has cast a real vampire played by Willem Dafoe as Nosferatu in the movie. So it's a pretty interesting premise for a movie. And it's an interesting movie, to say the least. But the fact that Willem Dafoe is in talks to star in a Nosferatu reboot, not as Nosferatu, obviously, because he's too old, but or maybe he isn't. I don't know. They didn't say what role he was up for, so who knows? But the fact is that he might be in it. He's just saying he's been asked to be in it, and I would assume that he liked what he did with Robert Eggers in The Lighthouse, so I figured he's probably going to join up and do it anyway. We have a Ghost trailer popped up. Comes out on February 24th. It stars Anthony Mackie, David Harbour, Jennifer Coolidge. It's on Netflix, and it's a cute little premise. The director is, I believe they said it's, I don't know his name, but I don't think it's Michael Landon. I know it's not the same actor who passed away, but he was the director of Freaky and I think Happy Death Day. And the premise is that a family moves into a house. The son discovers that there's a ghost in the house who's trying to scare him out, but instead the kid uses his phone and records him and then posts him on social media, and he goes viral and becomes a hugely popular person. And so the ghost befriends the people in the house, but then they discover that, the ghost, the guy who was the ghost was murdered, and the people who did the murder are trying to silence them. So it looks like a really entertaining film, and the film goes into that bit of the story a little bit, but it shows more of the humor and the social media stuff like that. And I thought Anthony Mackie was going to be in it more, but it's really his son, the actor who's playing his son, is really, I think, believed is the main character in this more. I think Anthony Mackie's going to be in there. And again, Jennifer Coolidge has a small role in that as well as a psychic medium. But she steals the scene she's in on the trailer. So it looks good and entertaining. Speaking of ghosts, in real life, a ghost was photographed at an infamous old haunted jail in England. England always gets the best ghost pictures. I did not actually see the picture, but they did say it happened. Speaking of the Europe people, in 1808, here's some history you probably didn't know about. In 1808, two Frenchmen decided they were going to have a duel in hot air balloons. So instead of doing a Aaron Burr, Alexander Hamilton, they went into their hot air balloons and shot at each other in the air. But instead of shooting at each other, the obvious thing to do is you shoot the balloon. Don't know who won, but I did not know that bit about history, but kind of interesting. The Haunted Mansion reboot with what's his face? Wow. Who was in Loki? And then and then Zoolander and all. I can't remember his name. God damn it. This is gonna kill me. Wow. It's gonna pop in their cast. It's gonna be like the first or second name. Owen Wilson, yes, thank you. That stars Owen Wilson and a bunch of other all-star cast. is finally getting a release date on August 11th on Disney Plus. So I don't think it's going to go to theaters. I think it's going to go direct to Disney Plus. So that's good, I guess. Speaking of trailers, the new 65 trailer came out this week. It's coming out on St. Patrick's Day, March 17th. For those who don't know, I'm not really spoiling anything because they basically spoiled the premise in the trailer. It's like basically like one of the first things they say. But the premise is Adam Driver plays a human in outer space who crash lands. He's like carrying a group of people to another settlement on another planet, and he happens to be passing by another planet, and something happens, an asteroid hits him or something like that, and his plane crashes, killing everybody on board except for one little girl. And they crash on this planet where they discover they can breathe the air. It has running water. They can drink the water. They look human, but it's, it looks like it might be from the future. But then we discover that they have landed on Earth 65 million years ago when dinosaurs ruled the Earth. So we have a future human or an alien that looks human crashing on actual Earth 65 million years ago, facing off against dinosaurs. It looks awesome. I really, really like the premise behind it. And I'm excited, and I can't wait to see it. Speaking of the Academy Awards, I don't think much is going to come about this, but I gave the Academy Award announcements about an hour ago. One of the Best Actress nominees, Andrea Riseborough, is investigating her nomination. Now, the story came out that they believe that she was too aggressive in her promoting of her movie to get a nomination for the actress in Best Actress, and she got it. So they're trying to see if there was some collusion or something like that to get her nominated. I think it's the stupidest story, the stupidest thing for the Academy to do, considering all the stuff that they deal with. But the fact is they're investigating a nomination because they over promoted themselves. I think that's stupid. And I hope it goes away very quickly. I don't understand the whole point of, isn't that what you're supposed to do to get that? Speaking of stupid people, I'm going to talk about this, and then there's another stupid person. Well, not really stupid, but another coming up really soon. Stephen Dorff. Remember Stephen Dorff? He was big in the late 90s, early 2000s, and then nothing. Well, in order to stay relevant, he decided to jump on the bandwagon of people who are bad-mouthing comic book movies again, which is a sore spot for him because I like comic book movies. I'm a comic book guy. And the fact that Martin Scorsese and Francis Ford Coppola and Quentin Tarantino are all raining dog shit on Marvel movies, and they have no right to. We'll get a little bit of Martin Scorsese in the next segment here. Anyway, Stephen Dorff, who hasn't done shit for 20 plus years, happened to be in the first Blade movie, which he was good as the bad guy. And some of the movies he did in the late 90s and early 2000s were okay, but he hasn't done shit since then. But in order to stay relevant, he decided it was time for him to dogpile on the anti-comic book thing. And he didn't just focus on Marvel, he also focused on DC, saying that he thought that Black Adam and other comic book movies are just bullshit and pieces of crap and wastes of space and time and should never be made and blah, 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 blah. Shut the fuck up. What the fuck have you done? Are you pissed off that they're remaking Blade and you're not going to be in it? I should be in it. No, your fucking character died and it's a completely different Blade, you dumb shit. Is Wesley Snipes going to be in it? Maybe, but it ain't going to be Blade, I'll tell you that much. He might play the bad guy from what I've heard. He might play Dracula, which I think would be freaking awesome. But no, forget it, Stephen Dorff. You ain't going to do shit. And there's no reason for you to say this because you are not relevant. But because you're dogpiling on comic movies, the stupid mainstream media, which I already have plenty of issue with, is like saying, oh my God, here's somebody else saying how bad comic movies are, because they are. No, they're not. And you're all stupid. And Stephen Dorff, you've done absolutely nothing. Now, Scorsese and Coppola and Tarantino, for the most part, you know, they have their, and Dorff, you have your right to your opinion as well, but they've done something with their life, man. You haven't done shit in a long time. So now you just seem like you're being desperate to get in the public eye, you know, and if you're trying to get into the Blade reboot, this isn't the way to do it. All right, son, it isn't. So why don't you just go back to whatever hole you've been in and just stay down there forever? This is beyond your pay grade because you haven't done shit in a while. Unless I'm wrong and you've done something that I haven't seen, but I don't think you have. Because other people have made that same comment that I did. Sorry. I just had to get that off my chest. Oh, Scorsese's going to get his in a few minutes, so let me go with that here. Real quick, another anniversary. One of my favorite movies of all time is 28 years old this week. I thought it came out again in the summer or late fall, whatever, but not in January. But apparently it did. Before Sunrise, the first of the Before trilogy, one of my favorite trilogies of all time. The first one, Before Sunrise, came out 28 years ago today. Not today, this week, I should say. So if you have not seen Before Sunrise, 1994, I believe, I guess it would be 1995, since it was 23 years ago. 28 years ago, hold on. Yeah, it would make it in 1995. I thought it was about 94, but that's besides the point. Anyway, if you have not seen it, I love Before Sunrise. Before Sunset is my favorite of the trilogy. Before Midnight is my least favorite, but it's one of those that I probably need to watch again. But it's good for Valentine's Day. It's a good romance movie, but it's also just two people talking in beautiful European countries, or cities, I should say. This first one's in Vienna, the second one's in France, and the third one is somewhere in Greece, I believe. So yeah, 28 years ago. And the death on this page before I get to the next. I still got 2 pages to go, and I got a half hour. This one's going to go past 2 hours. Sorry there, Scotty. Death we have here is William Ort Collar, who is a like an Athens character from Athens, Georgia. Athens is one of these like artsy sort of places, and they have these characters and stuff like that that are everybody knows who they are and they're artists or whatever. He passed away this week, and the reason why I bring it up is because my favorite band of all time is REM, and they're going to appear later on this show, multiple times, I should say. They knew him, and so they were the ones that I saw him on my page because I followed the REM page that they gave their condolences and stuff like that. What the hell did I write there? I don't know what that first one is, so I'm just going to come back to that, or maybe not at all. Another anniversary, Act Like You Were the Bomb and Phantoms came out 25 years ago this week. I never saw Phantoms, but there you go. What the hell? Man, I really this. It's just getting late, but I cannot read. All right, I'm just going to skip this one. I don't know what this one is either. You start typing your notes. Yeah, maybe I should. Some more sports ball. Sorry. Deion Sanders, who is now the head coach of the Colorado college football team, has reached out to former Raven Ed Reed, who was supposed to be coaching small college Bethune something or other, who fired him, has reached out to Ed Reed to help him coach at Colorado. So I think that's kind of an interesting thing to look at. If you look at, like I did, I'm a big fan of football and stuff like that. That's going to be an interesting season next fall, what Colorado's going to do with their stuff. So we'll see what happens. Tiger befriends a goat that was given to him to eat, but the tiger decided against eating the goat and decided to become friends with him. I think that's a cute story, and I find it adorable. A newborn giraffe born at, I guess, the Disney has a zoo, I guess, or Disney, they have like an African country or some sort of wildlife preserve. Well, there was a newborn baby giraffe born there, which defies the species from getting extinct, which is good, which means that they're doing what their job is to do, is to, help these animals that are on the verge of extinction to not be extinct and to help recreate the population and stuff like that. So that's a good sign as well. Alex Wolff has joined the cast of Oh, the Quiet Place prequel. I don't know who Alex Wolff is, but I figured someone out there might know what it is. I'm a Fortnite person. This is kind of a saddish kind of story, but you kind of think about it as like, this is kind of weird because our healthcare system is a piece of garbage. No offense, Scott. Why would it be offended by? I don't think you work now. You work in police, right? Anyway, kid streams Fortnite 10 plus hours a day to help pay for his dad's cancer treatment. Now, since the kid is streaming 10 hours a day, he's probably monetized, so he's probably making money, and he's making money by streaming Fortnite 10 hours a day, which is weird because aren't you at school? Are you homeschooled? Are you just doing this to make enough money to help your dad, which is a great calling, but you also kind of need to maybe get an education as well. And I know you want to help your dad and stuff like that, but there's got to be a better way to do it. But it's working, so whatever. I don't know anything about this band, but I figured there might be people out there that would do it, and that's this show I'm trying to get many people interested in as I can. But the band Panic at the Disco has disbanded after 19 years as a band. It's one of your favorite bands. I know what you're going through when REM disbanded. God, it's going on probably close to 10 years now. Might be longer than that, 10, 12 years by now. They've been gone for a while, and they always hit me hard with that. So if you're a fan of Panic at the Disco, I'm sorry for your loss. Paris Hilton, who you haven't heard much since the, I guess, early 2000s, or late 90s, something like that. It's all starting to blend together now. She had her first child. So I guess she's apparently has settled down, has stopped her wild woman ways, and has created her first heir to the Hilton fortune. It is a baby boy, so congratulations and mazel tov to you. Willem Dafoe, who's all over the place again, and Peter Skarsgård are actually joining a movie called Pet Shop Boys. Again, Willem Dafoe is just in talks right now to be in Nosferatu, but he's making this movie with Peter Skarsgård right now called Pet Shop Boys, which is not about the 1980s band Pet Shop Boys, unfortunately. Anniversary, 10 years ago this week, Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters with Jeremy Renner popped up. The only reason why it really became hugely popular was because it's such a weird title, and Jeremy Renner was coming off of Avengers when it came out in 2013. Another anniversary we have is, I always mention this because it's one of my, this movie sort of snuck up on me. I didn't really think I would be that interested in watching it, but when I actually went to the theater and saw this, The Count of Monte Cristo, the new version of it that came out in 2002, 21 years ago this week, came out in 2002. So I enjoyed it. Don't remember much about it, but it's still, I still like to see it, and I don't kind of remember it. Dazed and Confused came out in 1993, and it's about a group of friends on the last day of school in 1976. So you think about that, 76, 86, it was 17 years ago. So 17 years was between when the movie came out and what the year is portraying. So if that was, they're making a version of Dazed and Confused that came out in 2023, and it was 17 years in the past, it means it'd be a last day of school for people in 2006. Which I just mentioned because it's weird to see the difference between 1970s and 1990s is so different. But if you think about 2023 and 2006, not a lot of difference. So, just interesting, I thought. Ethan Hawke, who starred in the aforementioned Before Sunrise I just talked about, will be directing a movie called Wildcat, about the life of writer Flannery O'Connor. It begins production, and it stars his daughter Maya Hawke, Laura Linney, Steve Zahn, who he worked with in Reality Bites, Vincent D'Onofrio, Cooper Bottom, Philip Effinger, Rafael Casal, Willa Fitzgerald, and Alessandro Nivola. So a movie about Flannery O'Connor that fits what he likes to do. Let's talk about more stupid people. Speaking about Disney. Disney is changing the name of Splash Mountain, which was named after a thing in the Song of the South, which is a hugely racist Disney film. They finally decided they wanted to change the name of it. And of course, the right-wing conservative fuckfaces are absolutely losing their shit about it because we're being woke about it, because they're replacing, it's going to be the same ride, but it's going to have a different name and different decorations, stuff like that, based on the movie Princess and the Frog, which had a female of color as the lead actress. So the thing, this is all woke, blah, blah, blah. Disney, we're going to boycott your ass because right-wing conservatives are a bunch of fucking losers. But because of that, and because, I can't blame the people who are doing this, because there are stupid people, probably these right-wing conservatives. People are selling jars of Splash Mountain water on eBay. And I guarantee you these right-wing fanatic asshole fuckfaces are saying, oh, I'm going to stick it to the liberals. I'm going to buy my share of that Splash Mountain and remember it forever. And they're probably getting a lot of money for it. And you just wasted your money on a cup of water. This is from Splash Mountain, not that stupid Princess and the Frog shit. You deserve to be, your money taken from you, you stupid fucks. That's why, I always thought eBay would be a great place to sell my comic books, because if I was immoral, I have a bunch of older comics. I have a bunch of number ones and stuff like that. I got a bunch of big storylines like that. But I also worked in the industry, so I know a little thing or two about it. I could sell these number ones and these big item issues and stuff like that on eBay for a ton of money, saying it's the first appearance of this, and you're going to make a ton of money if you buy this and put it, in a bag and a board, and you put it in a safe and keep it there forever. In about 20 years, you'll be able to sell it for $1 million. I could sell it for like $50 or whatever, and you think you're getting a steal. When in actuality, the reason why comic books sell for millions of dollars is because there aren't a lot of them out there. With the advent of Diamond, where I used to work, the distributors and stuff like that, and comic book stores all across the country, now these big issues, particularly number ones, because there's all these incentive covers and incentives to get special deals, stuff like that, comic book stores buy like millions of copies of these comics because they can return a lot of them also, but they maybe not millions, but thousands of them. And there's multiple covers. So they have 7 different covers. And they can sell all 7 covers saying you need to have the complete set. And if you put them all away, you're going to make $1 million. If I was immoral, I could do that. And that's how much stupid these people are as well. Sticking with the comics a little bit, Titans and Doom Patrol, the HBO Max TV shows, have been canceled after 4 seasons. So they're going to run their last seasons, and then there are going to be no more seasons of those. Since HBO Max is just a complete shit show right now. So here we are, an hour and 42 minutes in, and we're finally getting into the free alcohol bit of my title. We've already talked about the first part of it, which was something about award-winning stuff. Fireball is getting sued for selling mini bottles of Fireball that has no alcohol in it, which is kind of funny because my father-in-law gives me and my 2 brother-in-laws every Christmas a small bottle of Fireball in our stocking. And I never really drink it because I'm not a big drinker. But now that I see this, I'm wondering if there actually is any alcohol in the Fireball, because there's supposed to be. But in these small bottles, apparently there aren't because they're being sued. So I got to think about that as I wonder the bottles I have in my liquor cabinet, if they actually have alcohol in it. I don't know. I just find that funny. Apple TV has announced a Frog and Toad series based on the children's book series. It's obviously going to be a cartoon for kids, so I think that's pretty good. A new Shazam 2 trailer popped up. It's also coming out on the 17th, much as 65 is. Shazam has always been an okay DC comics movie. I hate the DC universe that has Zack Snyder's stench all over it, but there's some good ones that pop the cracks every once in a while. Shazam was one of those, and now you have a sequel coming out the same day as 65. And unfortunately, I'm going to see 65 as Shazam 2, but I'll see Shazam 2 eventually, and good on them for getting that out there finally. The big news on CNN this week, and this is CNN, announced that they had a report that our Earth's core has stopped spinning or is spinning backwards, which when they announced it, they said that can't be good for the Earth. Yeah, if it actually did happen, we probably wouldn't be here right now. But I went on to TikToks and real stuff like that, where I actually have real scientists who do these TikToks, who have, the pedigrees and are actual doctors and scientists. They said, yeah, that's not happening. There's like a sort of a trend where it slows down periodically, but it never stops spinning, because if it did, we'd be fucking dead. It's the way it is, man. So whatever. I found that kind of funny. Because when I first saw it, I was like, oh my God, I got to put that on my show. And then the next day I saw that, no, it's debunked. So I've talked about this many times before, seeing the different colored animals and stuff like that. Well, we got a rare albino squirrel was spotted in England, and a rare albino panda was spotted in China. So we've got a couple of albino animals making their first appearances now. So that's pretty cool. These are actual albinos, whereas some of the other white animals we've seen are just white, animals. They're normal. They just happen to be white fur. These are actual albinos with the pink eyes and the distortion, the colors and stuff like that. So, Letterkenny, which has the great "Fuck You, Shoresies" in it, has an actress from that named Jess Salguino, has been cast in the new Frasier reboot, as has Anders Kurtz. Anders will be playing Niles and Daphne's son, and Jess Salguino will be playing Eve, who will be the roommate of Frasier's son. So I don't know where Niles and Daphne's son is going to come into play here, but Jess Salguino as Eve and Anders Kurtz as Niles and Daphne's son have been cast in the new Frasier reboot. Spielberg has, with his nomination for Fabelmans, is now the only director, actually any person, I think, really, to have been named for an award. I guess Best Picture. I guess it wouldn't be any producer. It would be just any director. Spielberg has been named is the only person now who has been nominated for Best Picture in 6 different decades. 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, 2010, 2020. So in every one of those decades, he's had at least one nomination. 90s, Saving Private Ryan, Schindler's List. 2000s, I can't remember. 2010s, I can't remember. I'm sure they're in there somewhere. 70s were probably Close Encounters and stuff like that. 80s, of course, was Color Purple and some other stuff in there. So yeah, so that makes sense. So good on him for that. A wild coyote finds a stuffed toy and acts like a puppy with it, carries it around with him all the time, plays with it, stuff like that. That's great. Another freak out by the right-wing conservative fuckfaces. A&W made a joke that they are going to put pants on their mascot, and the MAGA right-wing conservatives fuckfaces lost their shit about that. I didn't know A&W had a mascot, but apparently they do, and it didn't have pants on. And as a joke, they said we're going to put pants on it, and these MAGA idiots said, "Look at your woke assholes doing this shit." Can't make this stuff up. This isn't good news. The doomsday clock, which honestly really doesn't mean anything, has been moved up to 90 seconds to midnight, which is the closest to midnight, which is basically the end of the world than it's ever been before. So, yay. The Children of the Corn reboot has been bought by Shudder, so you'll see that on Shudder probably this fall. Squid Game was hugely popular on Netflix. They're busy probably working on season 2 by now. since it is going to get a season 2. But to fill the time before season 2 comes out, which probably won't be till late 2024, early 2025, probably, Netflix has decided to do a game show called Squid Game, the Game Show, something like that. And basically, it's having contestants do the Squid Game competition, but without the death and dying aspect of it. But because of the way things are, people have already gotten injured by doing these games. They're not dead, but they're injured. The J Webb telescope has discovered its first ever exoplanet, so hopefully we'll find a lot more of those in a little bit. Since I'm running out of time, unfortunately, I probably will not be able to read these. You don't mind hanging out, do you there, Scott? The Writers Guild has had their nominations out this week. So let's do the real quick. Let's do the Writers Guild here real quick. Writers Guild nominations 2023. Let's see. There we go. Original screenplay, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, The Menu, Nope, Tar, adapted screenplay, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. There's a sequel thing again. Glass Onion, She Said, Top Gun Maverick. There's a sequel again. Women Talking. Documentary screenplay, Second Chance, Downfall of the Case Against Boeing, Last Flight Home, Moonage Daydream, Viva Maestro. Television New Media and News nominees, Best Drama Series Writing, Andor, Better Call Saul, The Crown, Severance, Yellow Jackets, Comedy Series, Abbott Elementary, Barry, The Bear, Hacks, Only Murders in the Building, New Series, Abbott Elementary, Andor, Bad Sisters, The Bear, Severance, Limited Series, The Dropout, Fleischman is in Trouble, Pam and Tommy, The Staircase, The White Lotus, TV and New Media, Motion Pictures, Writer, Scripts, Heart of the Matter from the Hallmark Channel, Honor Society, Ray Donovan, the movie, Torn Hearts, Weird, The Al Yankovic Story, yes. Best Writing for Animation, Girls Just Shawna Have Fun from The Simpsons, The Pain Garden from Tuca and Birdie, Pixelated and Afraid from The Simpsons, Rectify from Undone, The Sound of Bleeding Gums, The Simpsons, which should win, To Bob or Not to Bob, Bob's Burgers, Episodic Drama, Hard Way to Go from Ozark, The End of Everything from The Good Fight, Plan and Execution, Better Call Saul, The Prick, Bad Sisters, Rock in a Hard Place, Better Call Saul, The Way We Are, Severance, Episodic Comedy, The Beginning, Grace and Frankie, Braccioli, The Bear, Foie Gras, Julia, Private School, What We Do in the Shadows, The One, The Only, Hacks, Wide Net, Reservation Dogs, Comedy Variety Talk Series, Full Frontal with Samantha Bee, Hell of a Week with Charlemagne the God, Jimmy Kimmel Live, Late Night with Seth Meyers, Late Night Tonight with John Oliver, The Problem with Jon Stewart, Stephen Colbert Presents, Tuning Out the News, Comedy Variety Sketch Series, Inside Amy Schumer, Pause with Sam J, Saturday Night Live, Comedy Variety Specials, the National Memorial Day Concert, Stand Out and LGBTQ and Plus Celebration, The Problem with Jon Stewart, Election Wrap-Up Special, Jared Carmichael Rathaniel, Quiz and Audience Participation, Baking It, Capital One College Bowl, what? Jeopardy, Weakest Link, Daytime Drama, Days of Our Lives is the only thing that was nominated. Because I think it's the only daytime drama left out there. Children's Episodic Long Form Specials, A Perilous Journey, The Mysterious Benedict Society, Thursday, Life by Ella, Pilot, Amber Brown, Prison or Palace, Life by Ella, Test Subject 13, Circuit Breakers, Short Form New Media, Breakwater, Carpool Karaoke, The Series 3, Busy Debras, Documentary Script, Current Events, Episode 2, Resilience, Hiding in Plain Sight, Youth Mental Illness, Inside the Alleged Sexual Assault Cover-Up in Charlotte Schools, Lies, Politics, and Democracy. Okay, I'm just way. There's a lot of news, digital news, radio. I'm not going to do something. There's a lot of stuff, but you get the gist of it there. And then I'm going to talk about these real quick since I'm on this. The Razzies came out. They already got in trouble with their nominations. We have Worst Picture, Blonde, Disney's Pinocchio, Good Morning, The King's Daughter, Morbius, Worst Actor, Colson Baker for Good Morning, Peter Davidson from Marmaduke, Tom Hanks from Disney's Pinocchio, Jared Leto for Morbius, Sylvester Stallone for Samaritan, Worst Actress, Ryan Kiera Armstrong for Firestar, which they got busted for because she was a 12-year-old girl. Everybody complained about that, so they took that off, so she's not in the running anymore. Bryce Dallas Howard for Jurassic Park Dominion, Diane Keaton, Mac and Rita, Kaya Scodelario, The King's Daughter, Alicia Silverstone, The Queen. Worst remake, ripoff, sequel, Blonde, both 365 days sequels. 365 days this day and the next 365 days. Don't know what the frig that is. Disney's Pinocchio, Firestar, Jurassic World Dominion. Worst supporting actress, Adria Arjona for Morbius, Lorraine Bracco for Disney's Pinocchio, Penelope Cruz, the 355, Bing Bing Fan, the 355, and The King's Daughter, Mira Sorvino for Lamborghini, The Man Behind the Legend. Worst supporting actor, Peter Davidson for Good Morning, Tom Hanks for Elvis, Xavier Samuel for Blonde, Maud's son for Good Morning, Evan Williams for Blonde. Worst screen couple, Colson Baker and Maud's son for Good Morning. By the way, Colson Baker is Machine Gun Kelly. Both real-life characters in the fallacious White House bedroom scene, Blonde. Tom Hanks and his latex-laden face and ludicrous accent in Elvis. Andrew Dominic and his issues with women in Blonde, the two 365-day sequels, which I really don't know what the hell you're talking about. Worst director, Judd Apatow, The Bubble. Colson Baker, also known as Machine Gun Kelly, and Maud's son for Good Morning. Andrew Dominic for Blonde, Daniel Espinosa for Morbius, Robert Zemeckis for Disney's Pinocchio. Worst screenplay, Blonde, Disney's Pinocchio, Good Morning, Jurassic Park Dominion, and Morbius. So there's your Razzies. So good on those, stuff like that. So we got all that. So I got that out of the way. Boom. And I got the Writers Guild one. Boom. A death we have this week is Lance Kerwin. James at 15 and Salem's Lot actor died at the age of 62. Real quick, I got one more page of notes for this. This is probably go to about 2:15 probably. I mean, not the time, 2:15, 2 hours, 15 minutes I'm looking at. Let's see. 5 minutes makes it 50, somewhere about 1:15 probably. We're probably going to end this episode. So let's move on here real quick and blow through here. Scott, thank you for chilling out with me a little bit longer. Just bear with me a little bit longer here. I teased this earlier talking about Martin Scorsese, his comments that he was making about the Marvel movies, calling them, simplistic plots and characters. They're taking all the money away from smaller films. It's just blindless action and special effects. And it's like a theme park ride. And it's a franchise. They said that's the reason why comic book movies all suck. Guess what other movie fits that description? That's right, Avatar 2. There's a whole article that Martin Scorsese was talking about comic book movies, but you can make the case that if he doesn't like that stuff, he should be talking about Avatar 2 as well, because it checks all those marks off there. Avatar 2 was probably had a budget for more than any of the Marvel movies, so that makes it even worse than the Marvel movies because their budget was insane. So James Cameron was taking money away from the smaller movies, like Martin Scorsese said, more than the Marvel movies were. Okay, that's one check. Simplistic plots and characters. Avatar 2's got that too. Yes, it does. Boom. Action and special effects. That's the whole bread and butter for Avatar 2 is the 3D special effects. That's the reason why it makes $1 billion, because he only wants you to see it in 3D, and the 3D tickets cost like $30. So you're going to make billions of dollars, even though not many people probably saw it, because you're paying about double what you would pay for a regular movie to see it in 3D. So it all is the action sequences and the special effects. That's all that Avatar is he wants to show off that. And like a theme park trip, yes, Avatar is, again, much like the comic book movies. It's like a theme park thing. So there you go with that. Boom. And finally, a franchise. It's Avatar 2. And Cameron lamented that he has to work on 3 and 4 now, because he said he would if it made as much money almost as the original Avatar did. So why isn't Martin Scorsese attacking James Cameron's Avatar? It hits all the buttons. And it also goes to show that it's not just Marvel movies doing that. Top Gun Maverick probably cost a lot of money. It was taking it from smaller films as well. it had, it had better characters like that, so you can, delete that stuff out. But, you have a simplistic plot, really, and simplistic characters. Basically, you've got Tom Cruise playing Tom Cruise and stuff like that. The action, the flying action, the special effects there, it's up there too. Like a theme park ride, you're flying everywhere, and it's a franchise. It's the second one. Where's the outrage about Top Gun 2, huh? Combo moves are just an easy attack for you, huh, Marty? I love you, Marty, but it's not just Marvel and DC comic movies that are doing this. The other big budget movies, they're doing that too. And these movies are basically what are saving movie theaters. Because without these big budget films making a ton of money that they are, guess what? Movie theaters would be closed. You wouldn't be able to show your movie in movie theaters. They wouldn't have enough movie theaters to show your movies in. And people be losing their jobs and their livelihood and their career. I love you, Marty, but you need to step back. Just step back. All right. At the 2-hour mark, I'm starting on the final page here. Now, real quick, I did a fine thing. I would have probably been another half page also. But when I got to the end of this page, I thought I only had a few more notes left. So I figured I wouldn't start like another page with 1 or 2 and then go on the next one. So I put up in the size so like that. And then I realized that I had enough for half a page. So here we are at the 2-hour mark. It's the longest episode I've done in a while. So, and you're watching it, Scott. So thank you. So let's breathe. Let's just get it through this. All right. Charcuterie flavored Herr's potato chips. Charcuterie flavored potato chips are now a thing. Of course they are. Why not? Okay. Walking Dead's Michael Cudlitz has been cast as Lex Luthor in the new Superman, not the new, but in the Superman Lois TV show on the WB. Violent Night 2 is in development right now. The writer-director is taking look at Die Hard 3 and Christmas Vacation, and is probably going to have that influence his sequel, to give you an idea of kind of where he's going to be going with that. That 90s show, which premiered last Friday, has now been destroying all previous reboots that have popped up over the years, with the best viewership on its premiere episodes. 40 years ago, the A-Team debuted on television, so congratulations to that. Classic Hayao Miyazaki short that has not been seen for 28 years, called On Your Mark, is finally going to be getting a release in movie theaters this summer. So I guess that they're going to either put it before another film, or they're going to do it just as a one-off, or do a bunch of shorts. I don't know. There's more nominees. Zoe Saldana is the only actress to appear in 4 movies that have crossed the $2 billion worldwide mark. Now, I find it interesting. I love Zoe Saldana also. Avatar 2, Avengers Endgame, Avengers Infinity War. I love her, but complaining about doing these movies is ruining her career and stuff like that. Again, you need to step back too there. She walked it back eventually and kind of said, I didn't explain myself a little bit more, but still you dropped out there saying that you hate doing these high profile sort of films, despite the fact that they made $2 billion each, and you're the only actor to ever do that. That should be a pretty big deal for you. The fact that you're in that. In Star Trek, you did a pretty good job. That was a pretty good big budget thing like that. And the Creed movies do pretty good as well. So, the minimum, that's just the way it is. So, okay, Zoe, whatever. Video of a moose shedding both its antlers has gone viral. No one has ever really seen that before, and this video finally shows them actually a moose doing it. I think I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, but I actually saw the video for the first time ever, and it was crazy. Dunkin' iced coffee flavored jelly hearts are coming out in time for Valentine's Day. Chicago Field Museum director uses a Titanosaur skull to hold his parking place in the snow. So he literally took a Titanosaur skull from his museum that he's director at, brought it home, put it in his spot so nobody would take his spot in the snow. Go for it, man. New Dungeons and Dragons trailer looks like a really, really fun movie. And if you're particularly a Dungeons and Dragons player like my wife and daughter is, and my brother-in-law and my nephew, I think you're going to enjoy this movie as well. Wild turkey has terrorized a Minnesota town. They're trying to get rid of it, but it's really hard. He is terrorizing a Minnesota town. And there's your next B movie or whatever. It'd be great to do that. A monkey finds and cares for a homeless puppy and takes care of him, makes sure that nobody, no animals, no people bother him, and he protects them. Shh is the Bollywood remake of the Scream movies. So there's actually a Bollywood version of Scream called Shh that is out in theaters in India, I guess, now. And maybe eventually make their way to the States, probably. Reverse waterfall is a interesting little thing where it's not actually due to Earth's gravity changing or whatever. Basically, in Utah, there is a waterfall. You know, waterfalls go down like this, but more recent videos have shown the waterfall going like this. Not going down like it's supposed to, but going up and over. And why is that? Because the waterfall goes into a deep canyon, and the canyon has massive updrafts. And these updrafts have been so powerful that it's pushing the water up and over. You know, it's like putting a hose on and you put a fan on and the water will shift that way because the wind blows it that way. So that's kind of neat to see reverse waterfall behind. Well, it's in the local. Now, as I said, I have my issues with what Scorsese's saying, but the new film he's making now is called Killers of the Flower Moon. I saw this book recently in a bookstore, and I read what the story's about. I knew a little bit about it, but not much. And now I want to see this movie. It's going to be on Netflix. It was supposed to come out last year, but has been delayed till later this year. It's got Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro in it. And basically, it was going to, the premise is based on the novel. It's based on a true story. The Osage Indian tribe out west discovered oil on their reservation and became massively rich because of it. So they were building mansions and having a good life on the reservations. When all of a sudden, mysteriously, these rich people who own the patent for the oil started getting murdered. So I think DiCaprio and De Niro are playing people who are investigating this crime. This is a true story. This really happened, and it goes to show you that America is a shithole country, as my friend Pat says all the time, that they can't let Native Americans who were here before we were, and we pushed them into reservations. We can't let them have a good life because we have to control all the oil because we're controlled by fucking right-wing dick-face fuckfaces. That drive me absolutely bonkers. I know they drive you crazy too, Scott. But it just, I cannot, I just cannot. Wait, I had it twice on here. Why did I have it twice on here? Oh, it's something different. Whatever. Anyway, so Scorsese was going in and he was deciding he was going to make was going to make a specific type of movie. But he started working with the Osage tribes, and he's using a lot of them in the film. In fact, I think one of them is an actress who is playing Leonardo DiCaprio's wife, who happens to be a member of the Osage tribe, is an actual Osage tribe person. If I'm saying it wrong, I apologize. Or Osage, or whatever. But because they were filming in the actual community where this is taking place, the community has opened up their arms to them, and Scorsese has learned a thing or two about them and has taken what they've told him and taught him and stuff like that and has applied it to his movie. So it's a different movie than what he was going to go in originally to make it. And now I kind of want to see it. It will be on Netflix sometime this year, probably in the fall, in time for Oscar nominations for next year. What the hell? I don't have time for for not being able to read stuff. 1923 season 2 has been approved. That's the one with Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren. Taylor Sheridan is on a continued role. The Harley Quinn, A Problematic Valentine's Day, the adult cartoon on HBO Max, they're releasing a Valentine's Day episode on February 9th. The trailer came out and it looks freaking hilarious and outstanding. And it is truly an adult cartoon. The premise is that Harley and Ivy are together, and it's Valentine's Day, and one of Harley's gifts to Ivy is to fuck her senseless, so much so that Ivy has a massive orgasm, and she shoots out these spores and stuff, which falls into the city around them and causes everybody in the city to want to fuck each other. That's what I'm talking about. It's an adult cartoon. It looks hilarious. And so I got the first, I don't have HBO Max, but I got the first 2 seasons on Blu-ray. The 3rd season just finished, I think. So when that comes on Blu-ray, I'll pick that up as well. I'll get caught up here sometime as well. This year's Sundance came back into the spotlight. It's been a long time since Sundance has been in the spotlight. It's a place where movies were making millions of dollars, because that's where, it's a film festival, and then production companies come, they see the films and they buy the films. And that's where all these people became millionaires and made their movies huge hits. And some were not so big hits, but they got a lot of money for that, stuff like that. And I think over the last few years, COVID has stopped Sundance from actually happening. That's why we haven't really heard much from Sundance. But this year, Sundance was all go and everything like that. And this year's Sundance was all about the sex. And the big stories about the hugely sexual movies, 3 or 4 of them at least, that are premiered at this event, and got a lot of different views and cheers and boos and stuff like that. But one of them was this movie called Fair Play, which became the darling of Sundance. Now, we always, as I said, in the old days when Sundance was around, you'd have 1 or 2 darlings that people would spend and over too much money to get the rights to it, and then would release it. And sometimes it did well, and sometimes it didn't. In this case, we'll see what happens, but this is the first one in years that there's a lot of buzz behind, so much so that Netflix has spent $20 million on buying the rights for the movie Fair Play. Which is supposed to be one of these like Basic Instinct sort of sexual thriller type things. So interesting that this film was bought for $20 million by Netflix. Must be nice to have that much money anyway, considering you seem to be hemorrhaging people. But that's what's hemorrhaging customers. But that's besides the point. A 3-story candy store with over 10,000 candy choices will be opening in East Rutherford, New Jersey, very, very soon. So that's interesting. Ben & Jerry's has 2 new flavors of ice cream I'm dying to try, but I have not been able to find at my local store. One is raspberry cheesecake, pretty easy to tell. This is part of the whole topping group of ice cream, which usually has an extra topping of stuff. In this case, it's pie pieces on top. And the other one is Boston cream pie ice cream, which my son loves Boston cream pie, but they're calling it Boston, whatever. But it's the same thing. It's custard flavored ice cream with chocolate and other stuff like that. It sounds really good. They both sound really good, and it's out there now. So raspberry cheesecake and Boston cream pie. Look for at your local stores. You might be able to find it soon. The Madonna biopic that was supposed to be directed by Madonna has now been scrapped because Madonna has decided she wants to go on a world tour instead. So, well, she is a drug lord after killing Pablo Escobar. That's a weird Al Yankovic. Scott knows because I talked about earlier in the show. I can't believe I can't read this stuff. Cocaine Bear appears to be the Snakes on a Plane movie of the year. It'll probably do better than that. But Cocaine Bear is a movie that everybody's talking about. And the first ads, TV spots for it have started appearing. So I think it's coming out next month, at least in March sometime. But the TV spots are tongue-in-cheek calling it from critics as the greatest movie of all time. Up there with the Barbie movie coming out in July. So we'll see. Do I want to see Cocaine Bear? Absolutely. I want to see Cocaine Bear. Elizabeth Banks directed it, so it'd be great. J.J. Abrams, who's had all kinds of trouble, is still set to produce a Hot Wheels movie. Don't even know how you would do that or why you would do that, but okay, let's do it. The BAFTA nominations came out, but I'm not going to read them because it's way too late. This is the British Academy Awards, maybe next week. I think maybe I'll do it next week. So I'll do 485 BAFTA nominations from this week. So we'll get those next week. Or you can look it up on your own. I don't care. But I will do it on my show next week. That's the British Academy Awards. Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are working together again. They are producing a film called Air about the early days of Nike. It is due out in movie theaters on April 5th, and Amazon Prime, again, as I mentioned, it's been all over the place in this episode, paid money to get it made, so it'll show up on Prime eventually later this year, but it's going to get a theatrical visit first. The movie is directed by Ben Affleck, and is going to star Ben and Matt, but it's not written by them. It's written by somebody else, but they're producing it. Ben's directing it, and they're both starring in it. You also get Jason Bateman, Chris Messina, Marlon Wayans, Chris Tucker, who I haven't seen the movie in forever, Viola Davis, Gaster Skarsgård. I can't read who that is. So it's about the early days of Nike. So that's kind of interesting as well. And some death here. Lloyd N. Morissette was the co-creator of Sesame Street. He died at the age of 93 this week. I said. And I'm skipping these. I can't read. So I'm just going to finish up on anniversaries. 19 years ago, The Butterfly Effect came out with Ashton Kutcher. Still gets talked about a lot by people. Warm Bodies came out 10 years ago this week. It's the zombie love story. That still gets talked about. One of my favorite movies that's really kind of creepy, The Mothman Prophecies, is 21 years old this week as well. And see if I can read this real quick. I cannot, so we're going to find. So as I said, my final stuff today, I talked about REM earlier. They had 3 anniversaries for this week. First, technically is my favorite REM song of all time is The Great Beyond, but because when I did my list, I made Man on the Moon my favorite because Great Beyond is not all 4 members of REM. It's 3 members of REM, but I find it their best song, but I wanted to put all 4 members, their best song in Man on the Moon. Funny thing is about Man on the Moon is 1, Great Beyond is 2. Both are about Andy Kaufman. The single for The Great Beyond came out 23 years ago this week. Crush with Eyeliner, which is from the Monster CD, which was not one of my favorite albums, but this song is actually not too bad. It's a very groovy sort of song. Came out in 1995 this week, and finally in 1989 in the UK, one of the most annoying REM songs of all time, Stand, came out in 1989. That is all of what I can read. So we're skipping what I can't read. Scott, thank you for hanging out with me in this 2 hours and 17-minute torture session. You can now go to bed. Say hi to Luke for me. Take care. Have a great weekend, a great week. Hopefully I'll see you back here next week. I know at least you'll watch it maybe on replay later on. As for everybody else, guess what? Next week is February. I take my mom for her chemo February 1st. That means Groundhog Day is going to be on Thursday, this upcoming Thursday, I should say, Friday, and then the 4th and 5th of February coming up. So we're entering February time now. So the first month of 2023 is just about done here. It is the 29th of January right now, so it's after midnight. So we only got the 29th, 30th, 31st, 3 days left in this year. And then we've got the 1st, and then we got Groundhog Day later this week. So have fun. Check out stuff. If you are a sports ball fan, enjoy the conference championships. We'll have the Super Bowl matchup by the end of the day today. And I don't think anything else much is coming up this week. As I said, Groundhog Day, my mom's chemo, but I can't think of anything else exciting jumping out at me. Community Day for Pokemon Go is coming out on the 5th. So that's Sunday. So that's it. So next week, we'll see you probably on Saturday again. My usual time about 11:30ish because my kids and wife will be back home. And I got started at 10:45, and here we are 2 hours later, 2.5 hours later almost. So, Scott, again, thank you for watching. Congratulations on your marriage to Luke. And everybody else, have a great night. See you in February.